I'm here at Clearwell Caves in the first of the visits for places to visit in Gloucestershire.
This is where we take people caving. When we go down to the lower levels,
Okay.
we take them right down deep and take them crawling and climbing. But obviously they need overalls and helmets and lamps and so on.
Okay, how deep do you actually take them?
About 200 feet down.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's quite a long way
quite
down.
Small.
And it's quite small in places, but it's really exciting. But people can see the trips on our website, and they can come along with the family or whatever.
Oh, lovely. Is there a minimum age for that?
7.
Okay,
Yeah,
brilliant.
so quite young children.
Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the caves?
The caves are very old. They're about 4,500 years old.
Okay.
They began mining on the hillside up over there behind you.
Right.
And then as they ran out of iron on the surface, they gradually worked their way into the caves that you're about to go into.
Fantastic. Let's go in. So tell me a little bit more about the iron ore.
Well, this is what they were mining. The very earliest miners hadn't thought of using the iron ore as a metal, so they used it as a paint, and you can see that the colour here is quite bright.
Yes.
And that's yellow ochre. So that's what the earliest miners wanted, and then the later ones mined for iron ore. And if you feel the weight of it, if you feel that,
Well,
it's quite heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite
But
heavy.
that's a really high grade iron ore, and it's 35% iron.
Okay.
So this is what the caverns that you'll go through were all lined with this stuff.
Right.
And that's what they were digging.
What would they use it for?
Well, they would melt it down to make anything really, like horseshoes, nails, weapons, tools, things
Lots
like
of
that.
things.
So it's a very useful metal. This is Claire. She's working as a blacksmith at the caves as well, and she makes all sorts of ornamental ironwork as well as doing jobs around the mine as well.
Fantastic. So what would you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, currently I'm working on a commission which is a set of pond covers. So I'm bending pieces of metal to make the shapes that I need and putting them all together into these on the bench. Every day is different really in the life of a blacksmith. It's whatever people want me to make, and as Jonathan pointed out, things in the caves that need repairing. And
What would need repairing in a cave?
well, we've got carts and trucks that run through the mines on the rails under your feet, so keeping wheels running, and I've been making various pods, which are billy boxes for the caves. Originally the blacksmith would have been sharpening pickaxes, so as the miners came up after a hard day, they'd drop off all their pickaxes here in the blacksmith shop, and they'd be sharpened ready for the next day to go back down there. So I don't do that anymore. There's not so much call for that, but it is nice that when people come through they can see the connection and make connection to the traditions.
And I'll show you a billy in a moment.
Okay.
We'll go underground just here.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay.
So this is a billy. Can you explain a little bit more about it to me?
Yeah, this is what the children would have been expected to carry when they were working in the mine, and they would have had this on their back. It's a bit like a rucksack.
Okay.
It goes over your shoulder, and as you can see, this is made for someone shorter than me. I'll just see if I can pull my belt up and show you how it works. So it goes like that, just hooked in, and it leaves your hands free.
Okay.
So you bent over with this on your back, and the iron ore went in there, and then you used it to fill up the trucks. So you go backwards and forwards carrying loads of iron ore.
How many hours a day would they have done that for?
Well, 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And 6 days a week. So that's quite a tough life, really.
That is for a child.
And this is what they were expected to carry, was this equivalent weight. We've had this lump made to represent the weight of the billy, but it weighs about 20 kilos.
That's
and if you want to try it, you can just see what sort of thing 7-year-olds carried.
Oh, here you go, you can have it back now. Wow, that's heavy.
But the miners, if they saw the children going slowly with this, would actually, before they put the billy on their back, they would get a handful of sharp stones and sprinkle that on their back and put the billy on top of that.
Oh,
so the
that's
stones
nice.
would dig into their back and make them run to get to the truck.
Oh, that's really cool.
But that's how they kept the children moving all day. That's the good old
sad.
days.
When children behaved. So Jonathan, would you explain to me what the different colours are on the ceiling?
Yeah, this is the colours of iron really, it's rust. So the iron ore that was sticking to the ceiling has actually given the colour of the reds and yellows to the rock itself. And you can see that there are some amazing colours as you go through the caves.
So Jonathan, Clearwell Caves is home to some bats. Can you tell me a little bit more about them?
We've got loads of bats actually. We're one of the biggest hibernation places in Europe for lesser horseshoe bats.
Wow. So Jonathan, you've had a couple of television shows filmed here. Could you tell me a little bit more about them?
It's been used quite a lot by the BBC, particularly for Doctor Who, Merlin. This lake was used by D. Alan Pascoe, and they did The Woman in the Cave, and they flooded the whole cave because they wanted a cave with the river running through it, and we said, well, we haven't got a river. And they said, oh, well, don't worry about that, we'll bring our own water. And they brought bowsers of water and flooded the whole of the passageways.
Wow.
Just for the film, and it was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
And it really felt like a live cave. But for this lake area, they actually had all the actors in the pool as well.
It is rather cold.
It is very cold, and it didn't take them very long to need warming up.
No, I bet. In the guidebook it mentions a tale about an old man that helped a television crew around. Can you tell me a bit more about it?
Yeah, the miners who worked here were convinced this place is haunted. I don't know if you believe in ghosts, but the miners definitely felt that there was an old miner down here that was quite helpful, but was thought to be a ghost. And we used to think it was a bit of a joke until about 30 years ago. We had a television company working here, and they brought all their cameras and lights down and wanted to lay power cables round, and they asked us the best route to lay the cable, and this man apparently showed them the way round. And when they went to thank him, he'd gone, and they didn't know where he'd gone, so they came out and asked us about it. And we said, well, we were all outside, it couldn't have been one of us. And they gave us a description of the man, and it fitted exactly what the miners said the old man looked like. So after we told them about the old man, they wouldn't come down on their own after that, so they obviously believed it. A lot of people see someone down here when they know, that there isn't anyone, and the description of the man is always the same.
He's not dressed in a green jumper, is he?
No, I think you're safe.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for showing us around. I've really loved today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.